In our last conversation, we talked about why polymaths can't focus on one thing and why that's actually a hidden advantage. Because a mind that explores widely sees through rigid narratives. It resists being boxed, controlled, or simplified. And that's exactly why narcissistic people try to hook into you early. But here's the problem. Your openness, your curiosity, your willingness to engage also makes you highly reactive to emotional manipulation. Which is why this conversation matters. The gray rock method isn't about being cold or cruel or shutting yourself down. It's about learning how to remove stimulation from people who feed on reaction. For HSPs, for polymaths, for M-shaped minds, this method becomes a form of self-protection, a way to stay expansive without being drained. Because when you stop feeding the pattern starts to collapse. And once you understand this, you stop asking, why do I keep attracting them? Different face, different name, same emotional drain. You are thoughtful, you listen deeply, you notice shifts in mood before anyone else does, and somehow, that sensitivity keeps putting you in the orbit of narcissistic people. If you're a highly sensitive person, this video is for you. Because narcissists are not drawn to everyone equally, they are drawn to you. Not because you are weak, but because you are perceptive, emotionally responsive, and generous with your inner world. To a narcissist, that feels like an open energy source. They scan for people who react, who explain themselves, who feel responsible for emotional harmony. HSPs do all three. Your nervous system is tuned to subtlety. You pick up micro-expressions, tone shifts, unspoken tension, and narcissists thrive on that. Because every reaction is feedback. Every explanation is control. Over time, you start feeling like you are shrinking, talking less, choosing words carefully, walking on emotional glass. And here's the confusing part. The more you try to be kind, the worse it gets. This is where most advice fails you. You're told to be assertive, communicate clearly, set firm boundaries. But when you try that, they argue, invalidate, or suddenly play the victim. So today, we're going to talk about a very different strategy. Not confrontation, not explanation, not emotional withdrawal, but emotional invisibility. It's called the gray rock method. And to understand why it works, we first need to understand how narcissistic attention actually functions. A narcissist does not connect. They stimulate. They need emotional contrast. Highs and lows, admiration or outrage, love or conflict. Neutrality is intolerable to them. Think of it like this. A narcissist is not chasing you. They're chasing the reaction they get from you, the story, the justification, the emotional sparkle. And HSPs, without realizing it, provide extremely rich emotional data. You don't just react, you process out loud. You explain your feelings, you reflect, you try to reach mutual understanding. To a healthy person, that's intimacy. To a narcissist, that's leverage. So when you suddenly stop feeding that loop, something interesting happens. Their grip loosens, not because they understand, but because the game stops being rewarding. The gray rock method is not about being rude or cold or robotic. It's about becoming boring to someone who feeds on emotional intensity, flat responses, minimal detail, no visible emotional charge. You answer questions, but you don't elaborate. You respond, but you don't engage. Not silence, not stonewalling, just nothing extra. And this is where HSPs struggle, because it feels unnatural, it feels dismissive, it can even feel cruel. Your system is wired for depth, for nuance, for meaning, so asking you to go emotionally flat feels like asking a musician to stop hearing harmony. Which is why, before we talk about how to use gray rock method, we need to dismantle the guilt around it. Because gray rock is not manipulation, it is containment. It is choosing not to offer your inner world to someone who has proven they misuse it. Before we talk about technique, we need to address something that catches almost everyone off guard. When you start this method, things often get worse before they get better. The narcissist may push harder, ask more questions, create drama, or suddenly act unusually charming. This is not failure. This is extinction behavior. When a source of stimulation disappears, the system spikes, trying to restore the old supply. Think of a vending machine. You press the button, nothing comes out. So you press it again, harder. This escalation is not about you. It's about their nervous system panicking. And this is where many HSPs break. Because you feel the emotional pressure immediately. You sense their confusion, their frustration, their need. And your instinct is to soothe, to explain, to fix the rupture. But this is the exact moment. Gray rock matters most. Gray rock is not a single action. It's a pattern. Short answers, neutral tone, no emotional storytelling. For example, a narcissist asks you, "How was your day?" You answer, "I'm fine." "Why are you being weird?" You answer, "I'm not." "You've changed." And then you answer, "Maybe." No defense, no counterattack, no emotional narrative. To an HSP, this feels almost painful because you're used to meeting people in the middle. But gray rock is not about meeting. It's about withholding access, and something subtle starts to happen. Without your emotional reflections, the narcissist loses their mirror. They can't read you, can't provoke you, can't anchor their identity through your response. You become hard to locate. Over time, they disengage. Not dramatically, but quietly. Their attention drifts. They look for someone else who reacts more. This is not because they lost interest in you. It's because the supply went dry. Now here's the part most explanations miss. Gray rock is not meant to be permanent, and it is not meant for healthy relationships. If you apply gray rock method to safe people, you will feel numb, disconnected, and lonely. Because HSPs need resonance. You need emotional reciprocity. Gray rock is a situational tool for relationships where depth is unsafe. Which brings us to the hidden cost. If you don't use it, without gray rock, HSPs often internalize the dynamic. You start believing, if I were clearer, kinder, more patient, they would change. But narcissistic behavior does not respond to insight. It responds to consequence. And emotional access is the currency. When you remove that currency, you change the power structure. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you selective. You are not shutting down your sensitivity. You are protecting it. Think of your emotional depth like a house. Not everyone deserves a key. Some people only get to stand on the porch. Gray rock is how you keep the door closed without starting a fire. So let's put this together. If you are an HSP and you keep attracting narcissistic personalities, it's not because you're broken. It's because your nervous system is rich in feedback, and narcissists are wired to extract it. Gray rock is not about disappearing. It's about becoming energetically uninteresting to someone who survives on reaction. Use it strategically. Use it temporarily, and only where it's needed. And if this resonated, if you felt seen rather than judged, then you're not alone. Thanks for being here. Subscribe to DeepMind, and I'll see you in the next one.